Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 17 and 18. Bhautikanam cha bhavanam shaktirasam cha tatkritam ashraddhanani sattvan durmedan hrisitayushah durbhagamscha janan vikshya munir divyena chakshusha sarvavarnashramanam yat dadyau hitamamodridrik.
The great sage, who was fully equipped in knowledge, could see through his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything material due to the influence of the age. He could also see that the faithless people in general would be reduced in duration of life and would be impatient due to lack of goodness. Thus, the contemplated for the welfare of men in all status of order of life and order of life.
Text 19. Chaturhotram karma shuddham prajanam vikshya vaidikam vyadadadyagnya santatyai vedamekam chaturvidam.
He saw that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas were means by which the people's occupation could be purified. And to simplify the process, he divided the one Veda into 4 in order to expand them among men.
Text 20. Rigyujusamatharvakya Vedashatvara Udrita Itihasa Puranam cha Panchamo Veda Uchyate.
The 4 divisions of the original sources of knowledge, the Vedas, were made separately, but the historical facts and authentic stories mentioned in the Puranas are called the 5th Veda.
Text 21. Tatragvedadara Pailaha Samago Jaimini Kavi Vaishampayana Evaiko Nishnato Yajushamuta.
After the Vedas were divided into 4 divisions, Aila Rishi became the professor of Rig Veda, Jaimini the professor of Samaveda, and Vaishampayana alone became glorified by the Yajurveda.
Text 22. Atavangira Samasi Sumanturdaruno Munihi Itihasa Purananam Pitamero Maharshanaha.
The Samanta Muni Anigira, who was very devotedly engaged, was entrusted with Atharva Veda, and my father, Romaharsana, was entrusted with the Puranas and historical records.
Text 23. Ta etarishayo vedam swam swam vyavasane kada shishyai prashishyai staschiryai veda vadaste shakino bhavan.
All these learned scholars in their turn rendered their entrusted Vedas unto their many disciples, grand disciples and great grand disciples, and thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being.
Text 24. Ta eva veda dharmurde daryante purushai yatha evam chakara bhagavan vyasa kripana valsalaha.
Thus the great sage Vyasadeva, who is very kind to the ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by less intellectual men.
Text 25. Stri Shudra Dvija Bandhunam Trayina Shruti Gochara Karma Shreyasi Mudanam Shreya Evam Bhavediha Iti Bharatamakyanam Kripaya Munina Kritam.
Out of compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this would enable men to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled a great historical narration called Mahabharata for women, laborers, and friends of twice born.
Text 26. Evam pravrittasya sada bhutanam shreyasi dvijah sarvatmakenapi yada natushyadridayam tatah.
O twice born Brahmana, still his mind was not satisfied, although he engaged himself in working for the total welfare of all people.
Text 27. Nati prasida dridayah sarasvatyastate shuchau virtakaryan vivastasya idam chovacha dharmavet.
Thus, the sage, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began to reflect because he knew the essence of religion, and he said within himself.
Text 28-29. Dhritavrtena himaya chandamsi guravegnayah manita nirvyalikena grihitam chanushasanam bharatavyapadeshena ह्याम्नायार्ताश्च प्रदर्शितः दृश्यते यत्र धर्मादि स्त्रीशूद्रादिभिरप्युत.
I have, under strict disciplinary oaths, unpretentiously worshipped the Vedas, the spiritual masters, and the altar of sacrifice. I have also abided by the rulings and have shown the import of disciplic succession through the explanation of Mahabharata, by which even women, Shudras, and other friends of twice born can see the path of religion.
Text 30. तथापि बदं मे देह्यो ह्यात्मा चैवात्मना विभुः असम्पन्न इवा भाति ब्रह्मवर्चस्य सत्तमः.
I am feeling incomplete, though myself fully equipped with everything required by the Vedas.
Text 31. Kim va bhagavata dharma na prayena nirupitah priya paramahamsanam ta eva yachyuta priyah.
This may be because I did not specifically point out to the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfect beings and to the infallible Lord.
Text 32. Tasyaivam khilamatmanam manyamanasya khidyatah krishnasya naradobhyagad ashramam pragudahritam.
As mentioned before, Narada reached the cottage of Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa on the banks of Saraswati, just as Vedavyasa was regretting his defects.
Text 33. Tamamijnaya sahasa pratyuthayagatam munihi pujayamasa vidivan naradam surapujitam.
At the auspicious arrival of Sri Narada, Sri Vyasadeva got up respectfully and worshipped him, giving him veneration equal to that given to Brahmaji, the creator.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I think we're still waiting for Manu Prabhu to come. So maybe while he's we're waiting for him to come, we can do a few things. So maybe we shall ask some questions about the chapter. Let's have a look. Okay, so Jyoti Mataji, if you let me know when Manu Prabhu arrives. In the meantime, I shall just ask some questions to discuss. So Shaunaka Rishi asked Sutta Goswami a question at the beginning of this chapter. In what period and what place was this first began? And why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dvaipanya Vyas, the great sage, get the inspiration to compile this literature? So far, what is emerging here? From where did Vyasadeva get the inspiration to compile this literature? Any thoughts?
Hare Krishna Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Palika Mataji.
I understand from these chapters that Vaishnavan was not very satisfied. He written all the other Vedic literature, which was divided to different rishis, but he was not very happy. And because the Kali Yuga was coming also, I think that may have had his kind of he just wanted to contemplate on the whole thing, and then when he was meditating, that's when he felt I haven't glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that's why he just felt, yeah, I need to do something. So and then Narada Muni came and he agreed that yes, you haven't. That's why you're feeling happy because you haven't glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes. So you've hit it on the head there, Mataji. There's two reasons. Text number 16 gives one reason, that he was inspired to compile this literature. One, he saw the anomalies that were going to appear in Kali Yuga. And, obviously he was very compassionate by nature and he wanted to help. And the second reason is he was not feeling satisfied with what he had written so far. He felt he needed to give something more. Yes.
So the one you mentioned is that he was compassionate to see.
Yeah, he could see the impending Kali Yuga coming with all its difficulties.
Thank you.
That is in text number 16. Thank you. So next to which river was Vyasadev's ashram?
Saraswati? Saraswati?
Saraswati, yes. The river Saraswati in Badrika ashram.
Badrika ashram.
Yeah. So these verses we are reading now, who is speaking them? Like yesterday we've been reading 19, 20, 21.
It's Shaunaka Rishi asking Sutta Goswami in Namisharana.
Yes, Sutta Goswami is speaking. True. Okay. Is Manu Prabhu arrived yet?
No, Prabhuji. And I'm quite scared to call him because he's driving. I don't want him to make any mistake. So I don't want to call him. I keep calling him. I don't know what to do.
Okay, shall I just carry on with the speaking on the verse then, and then when he
Yeah,
comes, he
please.
can take over. Remind me what verse are we doing today?
31.
Verse 31.
Yes. I
Okay,
will make you host, Prabhuji. You can share something then.
okay. All
One
right.
second. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So let me just get the verse. 31. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Let me go to verse 31. Let me share my screen. Am I host now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Oh, where's my bar? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm co-host, Mataji. Okay. I think I know what the problem is. Yeah, all right. So dear devotees, we'll carry on reading verse number 31, and we'll start off by reciting the Mangala Charanam prayers. It may take a little time, but it's very, very purifying, and it does prepare our consciousness for what we are about to read and discuss. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunvalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Oh, that's Manu Prabhu there, I see.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Manu Prabhu, do you want to take over?
Yes, I will take over. No problem. Thank you very much.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Excellent. So today's verse is verse number 31. Can everybody hear me properly?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, because I'm driving and we are on the motorway. So I was just trying to check if there's any disturbance at all. So that's good if you cannot hear me. I'm just switching off the video so that we have a clear communication. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so today's verse is verse number 31, chapter 4, canto 1, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:431. Kimba Bhagavata Dharma na prayane nirupitaha priyaha paramhansanam ta'ev achyuta priyaha. Kimba Bhagavata Dharma na prayena nirupitaha priyaha paramhamsanam ta'ev achyuta priyaha. Synonyms: Kimba or Bhagavata Dharma, devotional activities of the living beings. Na, not. Prayena, almost. Nirupitaha, directed. Priyaha, dear. Paramhamsanam, of the perfect beings. Te eva, that also. He, certainly. Achyuta, the infallible. Priyaha, attractive. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. This may be because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfect beings and to the infallible Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The dissatisfaction which was being felt by Srila Vyasadeva is expressed herein in his own words. This was felt for the normal condition of the living being in the devotional service of the Lord. Neither the Lord nor the living being can become fully satisfied. This defect was felt by him when Narada Muni, his spiritual master, reached him, which is described as follows. Okay. Sorry, I missed the narration of these verses, which I'll do now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cha Eva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Shvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridyantasto hi avatrani Vidunoti Shuhet Sadam Nastprayeshu Abhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Agyanam Timirindasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vidamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Kimba Bhagavata Dharma Na Prayena Nirupitaha Priyaha Paramhamsanam Taevi Achyuta Priya. This may be because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfect beings and to the infallible Lord. Now, the chapter we understand has a title which is saying Appearance of Srila Narada Dev. Now, we understand that Ved Vyas is the disciple of Srila Narada Dev. And Sri Vyas, in previous verses, we understood he has divided Vedas into 4. Then he wrote Puranas, which is 108 Upanishads, Mahabharata. And after writing all this Vedic literature, still he felt that he was not feeling very satisfied in his heart. And now in this verse, he's suggesting it could be because he has not, the author, who is the authority himself, is admitting, oh, I have missed one thing. I have missed something. I have missed that very important point about not specifying about devotional service of the Lord. And then he's mentioning this devotional service of the Lord is very, very dear to two people. There are two kinds of people who love this devotional service. One is Paramhamsanams. Those we have to understand who is perfect being. A perfect being in someone who is seeing the truth as it is, who is not living the phantasmagoria of the combination of the mental concoction, which is a reflection of the illusory energy, who is living the life which is absolute, who can see through things as it is in the material world, which means he's able to see the difference between the soul and the body. He's able to see that the body is something which is going to be slain and the soul will remain there. Atma will never die and the body will die. And therefore, everything which is related to body is completely temporary, and anything which is achieved through the possessions and the karmas of the body will also finish with the body, along with the memory of this karmas. So what is it that is going along? Is the fruits of accrued resultant karma is going along. So this is the absolute person. And that absolute person can also see that there is a supreme controller. There is a God who is directing the doings of the material nature, who is governing the principles of the, controlling the principles of the universe. And under those controls, living entities acting at the platform of the modes of material nature. So it's material nature who is really forcing one to act in a certain way, and not the living entity himself. This way, these kind of Paramhamsas, they also have another quality. They have the quality of surrender to God. And to that extent that they are surrendered to God, to that extent they feel happiness within their heart, happiness and joy within their heart. And what is the source of their joy? That is mentioned here. The source of their joy is devotional service. That is mentioned here. It says Bhagavata Dharma. Now, Bhagavata Dharma, Dharma is defined as the property or the quality of a substance. Dharma of sugar is sweetness. Dharma of fire is heat and light. Similarly, it is defined that Dharma of soul is to love God. And how do you express your love to God? By serving. You just can't express your love with no activity. Therefore, there is a soul, there is a supreme soul, and there are exchange between them. And those exchanges are devotional service. Now, when living entity who understands they are subordinate to the supreme, they give the exchange of love through devotional service, which is pleasing to Lord. And guess what? This verse is saying that it is also pleasing. The evahi achyutah priyaha. Achyuta means infallible. Krishna is infallible. God is infallible. He does not fail into his promises. And that, he's saying, is very attractive. What is attractive? What can be attractive to somebody who is very wealthy, who is very beautiful, who is all intelligent, who has got all strength, who has got all renunciation? He has got all the six opulence, Bhagwan. That's the name of God. He's got six opulences in full. What can attract him? What can easily attract him? Nothing practically, but one thing attracts, and that is mentioned here. He said, it said, Priya, Priyaha Paramhamsanam Taevahi Achyutah Priya. Achyutah Priya is also very, very interesting or very, very loving to God himself. And we see there are many such personalities who are who can be qualified as Paramhamsas, the perfect beings who see things as it is, who identify their identity is their constitutional position is as a servitor of God, and who identify who the God is, and they work on their relationship with the God as opposed to their relationship with the material world and the beings of the material world, who are completely illusion. Our discussion to one personality in Mahabharata, and her name is Mother Kunti. Now she is, although a Stri lady, she's pure devotee of the Krishna, when Krishna is leaving Dwarika, leaving Hastinapur, Indraprastha or Hastinapur. So there's a beautiful verse which is saying, Janmashwara Shruta Shubhe Edmana Madhapuman Nivarati Abhidhatum Vai Twamakinchana Gocharam. Saying Swam Akinchana Gocharam. One who is approached easily by the materially exhausted men. Krishna is being said to be achieved by those who are materially fixed of the material ocean in the waves, because they are too busy in this waves of material ocean. Whereas those who are beyond, so one who is on the path of progress, who is trying to improve himself with the respectable parentage and developing opulences, trying to get high education, bodily beauty, cannot approach you. That's how Tulsi Maharani is saying. So this world is like a material fever. You know, these kind of desires which are there, they are like material fever. When the fever is 104, it is practically, you can declare this person is sick. And that sickness, he doesn't know what to do, what not to do. He's looking for relief, but he don't know how to get that relief. But when the fever comes down, that's the time he start feeling normal. When we see this verse, in this verse, it is said, this may be because I do not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord, which is dear both to perfect beings and to the infallible Lord. Perfect beings. And purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying, unless one is fixed in the normal condition of service. So one who is not fixed in the service of the Lord is not considered normal. It is considered abnormal, or in another terms, they are considered to be in the feverish condition. Their mind is reeling around. How do I achieve that? How do I achieve this? What to do next? They're making plans and schemes, not knowing that any moment from their body, the soul will be taken away. And that's where all the plans and schemes will completely fail, because they have failed to surrender to Achyuta, to God himself. So this way we can see how Kunti Maharani is clearly giving indications that the impediments in our devotional service could also come in the form of opulences, which means wealth, very high education. One can be very, very proud of that and would not think of surrendering to God. Or if somebody is very beautiful, they might attract lusty desires, and therefore they will not be able to come to the platform of love of God. And that's like a whole a dream kind of situation. And they will never be able to achieve this realization of that they are not this body. Now, if you look at this, another verse which is saying that God is the property of the impoverished. Namo kinchana vittaya nivritta gunratte atmaramaya shantaya kevalya pataye namaha. So now Kunti Maharani is singing that, oh my Lord, you are the property of the impoverished. You have nothing to do with the action and reaction of the material motion. So this person who is Paramhams, they understand that God, when he descends, or his prophets descend to this material world, they are not under the control of material nature. They are simply seemingly to be under the control, but they are not under the control. Just like in a jail, when some minister goes into the jail, although he is under the jail, but he is not under the control of the rules of the jail. Nobody can bind him there, whereas everybody else is bound. And this minister who has entered into the jail has the power to relieve everybody from the jail if they promise to behave. Otherwise, they will have to be suffering. Similarly, God is not under the reaction of the material modes of nature. He's self-satisfied.
In breaking up, Prabhu.
Their result of karma phalam ashritam. Those who are dependent on the result of their karma, they can never seek shelter of God, because they'll always think that they can do themselves. And therefore, we can see there are two kind of mentalities. One is the monkey mentality, and other one is a cat mentality. What happens when a monkey is jumping from the one branch to the other branch? At that point in time, the baby monkey is trying to hold off the mother monkey. But because baby monkey is not always able to hold mother monkey, sometimes baby monkey falls, and it falls from great heights, and they hurt or sometimes die, you see. But when we look at the cat holds its kitten from the teeth, and it holds the kitten at the neck. The same teeth are like death to mouse, but same teeth, when they hold the kitten on the neck, they're soft. At the same time, they provide full security. Now here, the responsibility is in the hands of the cat. Cat is like, it can be compared to now the grip of God on the devotees. The process of bhakti yoga is not that I will do it myself. The process of bhakti yoga is that of surrender. That I'll surrender and allow God to control me, allow God to hold me, hold my neck. And by doing that, one is able to surrender in complete security. One of the signs of surrender is that Krishna will protect me in every situation. Lakshati. Krishna will protect me. And this is a great sign of surrender, because such a devotee becomes fearless. He does not have the fear of loss of the material appearances, so-called wealth, relatives, friends, house, job security. They completely rely on God. If God is there, why should I be so worried? And therefore, that is a sign of surrender, because that shows that now this devotee understands the power of God, and he can therefore rely on God. And God and Krishna likes it. Okay, fine. He has, this is expected out of me. Therefore, I will provide that security. But if still you do not have that kind of faith in the Lord, then the surrender is not complete. So this way, God appears in the form of many times seemingly human as incarnations, and but people don't understand. They think he's another human being. He's not a God. Cannot be a person. God can be only energy. God can be formless. But Vedic information is telling us God has a form, and in God's form, that is most beautiful form, most attractive form, and one has the spiritual eyes to see it. One can see that. So Kunti Maharani is saying that, oh Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human or so are misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you're partial. Some people may think, oh, God is partial to this or to that, but that's not the case, because God is completely impartial. He loves all his children equally. And so one who understands this fact, he can surrender to God very easily. So we see that in this way, the qualification for Paramhamsa is also quite high. One cannot become Paramhamsa without knowing these facts, without having that faith, without having that very, very deep conviction into the philosophy that God exists, I exist, and there's a relationship between God and me. And having this connectivity or relationship with God is what we develop in Bhakti Yoga. So Vyasadeva is thinking that, oh, I did not talk about this most important aspect of Bhakti Yoga. There's a sambandh, there's Abhidaya, Abhidaya, and Prayojan. God, and Prayojan is the goal of life. The goal of life is to achieve love of God. There's nothing else that one needs. If a child gets love of his parents, what else does he need? He feels complete in himself. Similarly, living entity who's wandering around on the planets, is looking for happiness will become very happy immediately when his connection with God is clicked. And that point in time, he will not be wondering and looking for more, because he'll feel complete in himself. And then God in love will do such activities, what Mother Kunti Maharani has pointed out, these kind of pictures, that, my dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid through fear personified is afraid to you. The sight is bewildering to me. So no one can imagine that God can do such pastimes with his devotees, such pastimes as these, where he has become a child, where he has accepted parents, where fear personified is fearful of God, and yet God himself is fearful of his own mother. Why? Because he has stolen butter. And Mother Yashoda is running with a stick after him. And he's fearful, and he's crying with tears. Everybody, all the demigods, all the sages, they are bewildered completely. Can this be God? Is he really God? God cannot be fearful. This child, no, we definitely know this is God, because he appeared in the prison house and the four-armed Vishnu form, and all the prison opened up, and this Kamsa came, but somehow the other, he escaped, and he came to, we know he killed Putana, he killed so many other demons. We know he's God, but no, God cannot be like this. He can't be fearful of, oh no, hey, this cannot be. So they are all bewildered by these pastimes of the Lord, you see. It's such mystical pastimes of the Lord. And only through devotional service, one can achieve the pastime, one can achieve or understand God. There's no way. Therefore, even the biggest of the biggest yogis and jnanis, they're completely bewildered. So when Vyasadeva has written Puranas and Upanishads and Vedas with Vedanta philosophy, and but there was no understanding of God in completeness. Yes, there is Brahman, there is some personal God, there is God in the heart. So Brahmeti, Parmateti, Bhagwaniti, Shabdyate, all of that is fine. But how to achieve this personal form of the God? Has he got feelings? Has he got name, form, pastimes? What does he like? What does he dislike? How does he get pleased? Why should we please him? What happens if we please him? What happens when he pleases us? What is the kind of reciprocation one feels? It is said that in the spiritual world, there's a competition of happiness, the competition of joy. Krishna is happy, then the devotee becomes happy. When devotee becomes happy, Krishna becomes happy. And Krishna becomes happy, devotee becomes more happy. And like that, the constant increasing graph of happiness is never down. It's just beyond comprehension how that something is completely growing all the time, every moment, every second, it's growing and growing and growing. And this competition of happiness is never ending. And every moment is ecstatic. So these final details of rasas, of devotional service, were not described by Vyasadeva, which means a whole chapter of life of a devotee and devotion was completely missing out. No wonder that he was feeling dissatisfaction. From one point of view, one can think, oh my God, so much has been done. From other point of view, you can think, oh my God, there's no salt in the food. So whatever ingredients are put in the food, the taste is not coming. What is the reason why there is not? Oh, salt was missed. But salt was the most important ingredient. Devotional service is the most important ingredient. Mamachavya abhyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevaya sagunan samtitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Krishna, Prabhupada has quoted this verse hundreds of times. He's saying that as soon as you perform devotional service, you are beyond the modes of material nature instantly. So devotional service has the power to take the soul beyond the control of modes of material nature instantly. Therefore, those devotees who are serving the deities in the temple, who are serving the devotees of the deities, who are serving the mission of the deities, who are serving a mission in the control of in the control of modes of nature. And Prabhupada was asked by interviewers, how can you say all your disciples who have just come to Bhakti in the last 3-4 months, you've initiated them, or 1 year or 2 years, they're all pure devotees? Prabhupada said, yes, they're all pure devotees. And then everybody was wondering, why did Prabhupada say that? So they are pure devotees because he gave an analogy of mango. If a mango is hung on a tree, and if it stays on a tree, in due course of time, it will become ripe and very, very sweet. It may appear green right now. Similarly, those who are sticking to the process of devotion service will ultimately achieve love of God. And this is the beauty of the process of bhakti. This is the beauty of the devotional service. One has to just continue with determination on the path of devotional service, go on serving Krishna, go on surrendering by transforming the lusty desires into the desires of service and love, expression of love to Krishna. And that way, it is in due course of time, in one's heart, the Bhakti Devi will appear in full form, and all his kama, krodha, lobha, mada, moha, masar will disappear, and he will see completeness. He will see incomplete, in full, the absolute as it is, Paramhamsa. So what will he become over the period of time? He'll become Paramhamsa, who loves devotional service, and Krishna says he loves devotional service. Both of them love devotional service. So I would now like to end this session here. And if there's any comment or any question that can be asked, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manu Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisance. It's
Please
such a
accept
wonderful,
mine.
wonderful class. I was really listening to you. I mean, you're driving, you're still doing, your concentration was really fully kind of elaborated the whole, the verse, how wonderfully it is described. I mean, I always like Queen Kunti's verse, and Srila Prabhupada. He's written this separate book because Kunti's prayer is so wonderful. And you have, you have really added Kunti Devi's prayers, and you have taken a chunk of that, and you sort of elaborated on that to explain about the devotional service. Only by the devotional service we can become attracted by or mercy of Krishna. So it is so important for us to understand. So I really thoroughly enjoyed your explanation today. You are very, very energetic, and thank you so much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your encouragement. Is there any comment or question? We have some little time. We can take that. Please feel free to share your experiences. That's absolutely fine.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvan
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Hare
Dhanvan
Krishna.
Pranam.
Prabhuji, I was just wondering, Kunti Mata says that beauty, wealth, and all those factors that she identifies are an impediment to spiritual life. And yet, I think in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that when you have done pious activities and you've had previous good life, successful karmas, then you are gifted with wealth and beauty and knowledge and all that. So how does the two compare? How do the two compare?
So if somebody has devotion already in the heart, it does not matter to him whether he has the wealth or not, because see it as his own property, and that comes into his consciousness, and he sees that property of God. But if somebody has done good karma becomes impediment, because good karma means pious deeds. What are these pious deeds? These are karam-kand pious deeds. These are not devotional service. We're not talking devotional service here. We're talking the preview of karma-kand, wherein I do one karma and there's a reaction to that karma. I do good karma, I'll get good results. I'll do bad karma, I'll get impious results. As a result of good karma, I can go to demigod planets. As a result of bad karma, I may have to suffer in hellish planets. As a result of pious activity, I may take birth again. in a very aristocratic family or very wealthy family. But what do I do with that money? If my consciousness is not devotional service, so good karma is not equivalent to devotional service. Pious karma is not equivalent to devotional service. Devotional service is a karma which is a class on its own. You see, the devotional service is beyond. It is called akarma. It's considered as no activity because there is no fruitive results. All it does is pleases Krishna. And when Krishna is pleased, then he takes you away from the bondage of birth, old age, death, and disease. That's the reaction of that. So very different, actually. The good karma only brings fruitive results, and the devotional service brings end of old age, death, birth, and disease. So these are two separate connotations altogether. Does that make some clearing to your question?
Yes, it does. And yet I'm thinking of Srimad Bhagavatam and all the pastimes of all the exalted devotees. They were all born in a very affluent, most of them were in affluent situations, who then gave it all up and then took to devotional service, isn't it? So initially they were born with affluence or knowledge and beauty and all that. Yeah.
So Prabhupada explains that if we have a lot of devotional service done, but we do not achieve love of God and our bhakti remains karma mishrit bhakti, then eventually in our next birth, we may come in aristocratic families where we don't have to work, but we have come with the seed of devotional service, which means that we will be getting a complete facility to execute our devotional service. And therefore, we see such exalted devotees have come in aristocratic family, but because they are seed of bhakti, therefore they felt very inspired to leave. Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they have absolutely no attraction to the wealth of this world. They just kicked it off. So because of the seed of devotional service. But imagine there are many thousands of people who are running after the wealth, but unfortunately they have no understanding of God. They have no understanding of devotional service, then they are lost. Therefore, it is an impediment.
Understand. Very nice explanation. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
My humble
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
My humble obeisances unto you. Hare Krishna.
My obeisances, yeah.
Thank you very much for the lovely, absolutely wonderful class. You know, you were driving and, you know, you were so much concentrated. It was so good. It was so structured. I felt very, very nice. I just wanted to add one point, like in our Bhakti Vriksha, we were doing 26 qualities of devotees. And when you were explaining about, you know, the anarthas, all this lust, greed, anger, everything goes away by devotional service. And in the end of the 26 qualities, it was written that just by devotional service, we can develop this 26 qualities of devotees and all our anarthas goes away. So devotional service is so powerful. Nothing else will, you know, raise us above the three modes of material nature. Only devotional service can do that. So I was just
That's
thinking.
such a magic formula, actually, Prabhupada has given. He's saying simply chant. Everything else will come together. Now, with your material mentality, it's very difficult to comprehend this. How is it that you just chant few mantras and you're sorted? But this is it. It's so simple, but yet it's so effective and powerful. So, because it takes us to the platform of devotional service, which is beyond the modes of nature. Can you imagine? You're in a prison house and you're just chanting few words and you're out of the control of the jail. This is the power of this devotional service. So it's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. It's like a mathematical formula, and it's so simple. So when I do puja, I was, you know, I think that Prabhupada gave the highest love of God and with the simplest practical activities. Like devotional service is so simple, just to serve Krishna. So
Sri
simple.
Prabhupada is saying in his purport of Mother Kunti that those who are very opulent, those who have a lot of dependency in the material world on their own karma phal, they will not be able to chant feelingly. The person who is in need, who's impoverished, who's poverty driven or whatever, you know, he's in a difficult situation, distress, etc., they will they will chant the names of Krishna from their heart, from within. They'll chant, Krishna, Krishna, please help me, like that. So the Prabhupada said the quality of chanting will be very much with the feelings, where there's a lot of need. So he qualifies that, saying that the chanting, the feeling of the chanting is something that determines the mercy of the Lord, attracts the mercy of the Lord. So, of course, we chant mechanically many times, like that. But sometimes when we are in great difficulty, when we chant, oh, Krishna, Hare, every syllable, we're chanting with full concentration, full gravity, and you think, oh, Krishna, as if Krishna just appear, please. So that is very important, therefore we need these calamities. Krishna, why is Kunti Maharani saying, give calamities? Oh, Krishna, give calamities, because when you do give calamities, you appear, and your appearance is such a nice thing to happen, because once you appear, then there is nothing else that is required. We become happy. So that's the point, and that's the mood of devotees, actually.
Absolutely.
That's the mood of devotees.
Absolutely. All the Bhakti Vinod Thakur's prayers and Narottam Das Thakur's prayers, they are crying in devotion. They are like, they're saying, I'm the most unfortunate soul. I have no bhakti. They talk about themselves as so absolutely fallen. They are just useless. And you are the only one. Without you, I'm nothing. They're crying out in their prayers.
Even Prabhupada, you see, on the Jaladuta, when he comes to Boston Harbor, how is he crying, He's feeling dependent on Krishna. That's amazing, a sign of humility and surrender.
Thank you
this
so
is
much.
What Vyasadeva has figured out. What did he miss out? Okay. So without taking more time, I think we can perhaps end the session here today. If that is all right. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Vanchakaltarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha
Patitanam
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
namo
namo
namaha.
Thank you,
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
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 Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Jai
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.